I did enjoy some of the sides banter though, like the scene where like there's the second group with like the skeleton guy Brooke, right?
Yeah, Brooke.
They're all down underground at one point, and one of my favorite moments where you were so confused was there was the scene where he like the fart joke happens.
Oh yeah.
But it then cuts. I didn't know his powers, so it then cuts to a scene where it's like his spirit, it's like this green spirit, and I was like, "What? Did his fart come to life?"
No.
And you were like, "No, that's his spirit." I'm like, "Oh."
Well, he ate he can detach his soul from his body.
Yeah, but the timing was it was right.
Cloud.
No, the timing was it was literally right after the fart joke.
Yeah.
And then it's just a green spirit-looking cloud thing, and I'm like, "What? Did his fart come to life?" I was like, "What?"
Oh God.
We had a good laugh over that for a couple minutes.
That was a good one. I mean,
Your reaction was great. You were like, "No."
I think I did that several times of you asking a question. I'd be like, no. Ugh.
Hey guys, I'm Bill, also known as the Barbecue Games on Instagram.
And I'm Alex, his sister, who brings only chaos.
And together we are the Gaming and Collecting Podcast, a mostly video game centered podcast.
But half the time, we just talk about anime.
And that collecting thing, well, that's mostly just an implication at best.
So come along and enjoy us on this adventure
as we discuss the games that shaped us. So, how you been?
I've been pretty good. I mean, this week kind of went by dreadfully slow. I won't lie.
Yeah.
But everyone
we also got wiped out by the Ice Age over the weekend. So that was fun.
Yeah, no, we had
the quote unquote world-ending snow.
Yeah, I mean, like it was a lot of snow, but it wasn't as bad as like everyone was saying it was. I feel like people were dramatic. Well, I feel
it was a lot. It was a lot of snow, but as New Englanders, I was like, this was pretty standard fare, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, I feel like though we haven't really gotten that much snow in a long time, though.
That's true. That people probably just forgot.
Yeah, people kind of forgot this is New England and this is a thing that can happen.
Yeah, and it's been like 40 all day, and it's like already melting.
Yeah. No,
I couldn't get out of the driveway this morning because the driveway turned into a mud pit.
Oh no.
I was sinking into the mud. I was like, oh god, this is bad.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
Well, other than that, I mean, the week's been okay. I don't want to talk about it until like I actually start it, but I got some like exciting stuff after next week. I got some exciting things happening, but you'll just have to listen and see for the next episode.
It's good that somebody does, because I sure as hell don't.
I have like a Tilly story, but I'll let you talk a little bit before I go into that story, because it's quite dramatic.
Yeah, you've only been hyping up for 3 days.
I have. It was traumatizing.
Great. But yeah, so this has been one of those weeks where it just dragged from beginning to end.
Yup.
Really didn't do much other than that. I mean, we had our RuneScape session yesterday, which was entertaining.
We did
Alex was a noob.
Oh, yeah.
We'll save that for a later experience time, though.
That was so funny.
And other than that, been just kind of chilling. I've been tired this week, like...
No,
fell
I
asleep.
feel that.
Just kind of like, second I hit the bed, I was out.
Yeah.
But, anime-wise, I've been in a rom-com kind of mood, so I've been watching Golden Time.
Yep, you were telling me about that. What do you think of it?
It's good.
Yep.
It's not aggressively fan servicey, but it's not like super serious either.
Yep.
So it's got a decent mix, and it's only like 24 episodes.
Alright, not too bad.
I got like 5 or 6 more episodes to go. So.
Nice.
How about you?
I finished my Jersey Shore binge, and then I finished my in sequence Dance Moms binge. So I
that reminds me. I thought of a quote from an earlier episode where we were talking, and I was just like, Alex, when she's bored, watches cancer TV. When I'm bored, I watch disaster TV.
Yep. I watch cancer TV.
I like to watch fucking like Navy and freaking aircraft disaster shows because
I can't watch those. They just make me feel uncomfortable. But anyways, I went back to watching Dragon Ball Super. I'm currently in the Tournament of Power arc.
Oh, you finished the filler already.
I did, yeah. So
there's so many filler arcs in between there.
Yeah.
You got to see the baseball arc.
I did. That was a great arc. I did skip the crossover episode where it was like this purple or pink-haired girl.
Oh, that one's great too. You get to see Goku dressed up as a freaking Secret Service agent.
Oh, well, she was just so annoying. I don't know. Her voice was very ear-grating for me. I don't know. All the characters from the crossover were just kind of ear-grating, so I was just like, nah. But then I watched the baseball one, and I thought that was hilarious. But right now I'm at the part
the best
where,
line the best line in that episode is when Vegeta like hits someone with the baseball and they're like, "We're not allowed to hurt each other." It's like,
I laughed
yep.
on that one. Currently, they just revived Frieza, and then Frieza tried to betray Goku, but
then he wasn't actually betraying Goku, and it was, yeah.
Well, no, he did. Well, he did. Like, he blasted him with, like, this, like, ball from, like, one of the other destroyers, and then Whis and, Beerus came in, and he was, like, trying to join the other person's team.
I think he was just fucking with them, to be honest, there.
Well, I don't know. To me, he was trying to betray them. I think he was just trying to help himself. But that's what I've been watching.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my Tilly story now, or do you want to say something else?
Well, before we get to that, what are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking a handmade Moscow Mule with some ginger beer that I have, some Tito's vodka, and some lime juice from Stop and Shop.
I'm drinking a Molson Golden Ale.
Ooh. Sounds ale-y.
It's got a Canadian leaf on it.
A Canadian?
You've never heard that before?
I mean, I think I have, but Canadian. So, are you ready to hear my hyped up Tilly? I feel like you're not.
It better be good, because if it's disappointing, I'm going to be very disappointed.
I was traumatized by it. But anyways, so it was like, I think it was Wednesday night. Well, Wednesday morning. I, like, got woken up by Tilly. She, like, came over to me and was, like, rubbing on me. So I kind of just grabbed her and, like, forced her to cuddle with me. And she did for a little bit. But then eventually she squirmed. And so I let her go. And she crawled up on the pillow behind my head, which she does. And I was expecting her to, like, smack my head or claw at my face, because that's what she does in the morning. So I'm kind of sitting there, and I'm just waiting for it to happen. And then all of a sudden, something wet drops onto my fucking eye. And I look up, and it's Tilly salivating into my eye.
Ew.
And I was just like, at first I was just like, what the hell? And then I was like, oh, what the hell? So I ran to my bathroom and I'm washing my eye out because I don't want, like, whatever the fuck her mouth germs all over my eye. So I'm washing my eye out. I'm just like, what the hell just happened? I've never seen her do anything like that. And it was just, like, so bizarre.
So she, rather than hitting you, she drooled on you.
She drooled into my eye. Like, ugh, it was the most disgusting, like, just horrifying horrifying
I mean,
experience.
it could have been something else. So, I mean,
Well, yeah, it could have been that, but I saw her, like, I could hear her breathing, and I saw her face, and I was like, what? Ew. Um,
that's just her putting you in your place.
yeah, I mean, well, she must have just been that freaking hungry, I guess.
No, this is
and-
her house. She's telling you, you're the tenant.
I think she thinks so. But it was traumatizing. I'm still not over it, and I can never look at her the same. I can't
No,
look
you
at you the same.
You still love her.
I do, but that was very horrifying. Like, imagine it's 2 a.m. and you just feel something wet drop on your face, and you're just like, "What the fuck was that?"
Sorry, I showed the I showed the series of pictures you sent me today to one of my coworkers, and he agreed that Tilly's a national treasure.
Oh, the one of her yawning.
Yeah, the way it posted was it was like in a slideshow, so it just was like bam, bam, bam.
Yep.
Yeah.
She's something. She's something.
Oh, I guess a game collecting update. I finally have a copy of Pokemon Legends Arceus.
I still need to buy that eventually.
I still need to play it.
Yeah, because we gotta do our podcast on that where we.
Well, yeah, because we have to talk
it.
about the remakes and then this.
Yep.
I guess I gotta get a new Pokemon Snap at some point too.
Oh, I gotta get that too. Yep. We got games we gotta buy.
Some people, I've heard some weird, like, mixed things about this game.
About Arceus?
Yeah.
I've heard, yeah, that's what the general gist is, like, it's very
I've heard
mixed.
it's like either you like it or you hate it.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too.
Well, some people have been complaining about the graphics, and I'm like, I think people are just so freaking melodramatic about graphics these days.
I think so too. I'm like, I feel like in the end, like, as long as the graphics are pleasant to look at and the game is playable and fun, I think that's what really matters in the end.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's beautiful games out there, but do they, like, are they fun to play? No.
There's also some butt-hideous games that are the funnest games you'll ever play, so...
Yeah, so you can't judge a book by its cover.
No, I just think people are nitpicking and looking for things to complain about because they didn't like the game.
Well, they need to get over it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, the Switch also just surpassed the Wii in sales.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I actually saw that. I like look at like Google News sometimes because I just like to see what's like trending in the news because it's interesting. And that was actually one of the trending articles was they were talking about that, and I was like, wow, it's pretty great for the Switch.
I thought it was interesting that it surpassed the Wii, but they also no one's really talking about it. It also surpassed the original PlayStation.
Yeah.
Which means Sony no longer has 4 of the top 5 spots anymore.
Yeah. The article I was reading...
Actually, no, they might still. Never mind.
Oh.
I think they might. I forgot that PlayStation has sold more than the Wii, so...
Yeah. The article I was reading was actually talking about how, like, it's gonna be gunning for more of the PlayStations in the future. Which I think is possible, I mean, with how popular the Switch is.
Well, it also you gotta remember, too, it's also been out since 2017.
Oh, yeah, true.
And the PS5 and Xbox One X, whatever the hell it's called, Xbox X Series something, I don't know. Microsoft has stupid names for their consoles, but
yeah.
Those are still, they've only been out since last year, and they're still struggling to actually get the damn systems on the market. So.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel like that's what's really hurting them, too, is that, like, Nintendo is able to still produce their consoles, but
True.
PlayStation 5
But you also have to
get.
keep in mind, too, the PS4 is still technically an active system.
Oh, yes, of course.
The Switch is getting really close to passing it, though.
Yeah.
Because that's the next one on the line.
Yeah,
I don't know if
that's what I believe the article was talking about. I believe it was saying, like, soon to be passing the PS.
Which will be really weird, because that'll mean the Switch technically won the 8th generation of consoles. Which is going to be really bizarre.
Yeah.
But not wrong, because the most powerful system never wins.
Nope.
Well, I mean, there is an asterisk next to the Super Nintendo, because if you want to be technical, the Super Nintendo won that generation.
Yeah.
But the Neo Geo was more powerful.
Yep.
But that was also a premium. That generation's weird. But yeah. I don't. My question though is, before we get into our topic, will it beat the DS and PS2?
Well, I mean, maybe someday.
It's hard to say because those two are just so far ahead right now.
Well, it really depends how long the Switch stays on the market. I guess that really, for me, I would say.
True. Well, the other thing I found fascinating was Nintendo also made the claim that the Switch isn't even halfway done with its life yet.
Yeah. I honestly, I can totally see that. Because I feel like, too, I feel like they're going to just do more in the future, more of the upgrades, kind of like, what was that one called? The Switch.
Oh, the OLED thing?
Yeah, the OLED.
That's
I feel
not
like
really
they're just gonna...
That's really not an upgrade, though. That's just...
Well,
it's a
the screen is upgraded, I feel like, though, I feel like the next iteration of the Switch will be, a major upgrade. That's what I feel like is going to happen. The next one will be,
I don't know.
More major.
It's still selling, so I don't see why they'd upgrade it if it's not, sinking in sales.
Well, I mean, maybe, they'll upgrade, the technology or something. Or maybe, because remember how, everyone was talking about how they wanted to play Persona 5 on the Switch, but the Switch wasn't capable of it.
No, I think the Switch is perfectly capable of playing Persona 5. I just don't think Atlas wants to put it on the Switch.
Oh, well, you told me that it wasn't capable of going
No. I never said it wasn't capable. I mentioned that Atlas is just weird and they don't really feel...
That's not... I don't know.
No, I think we were talking about a different game. No, Persona 5... It probably won't look as great on the Switch, but the Switch could probably handle it. I just think Atlas is weird and they don't want to put it on the Switch for some reason.
Well, even if not the Persona 5, maybe they'll... It belongs around the same ideas of what I was saying, though. Maybe they'll upgrade the technology so that it's able to contain even bigger scale games in the future with even better graphics. So, maybe. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because at that point, why not just make a new system?
Well, but that's the thing. It's just
Yeah, but then we get into weird... Then we get into, Yeah, then we get into weird things like that
and stuff like that. I feel like that's what they're gonna do because if it ain't broke, don't fix it because that's basically what they did with the DS. And
but the new you gotta remember the new 3DS really didn't do that much.
Oh yeah, no, I get that, but
we'll wait to see on it right now. Honestly, I think they're just gonna keep trudging along.
Yeah, just have to wait and see.
See now. For Persona 5, let's see if that Persona 4 rumor is true or not. First.
Oh, there was a Persona 4 rumor?
It's not confirmed, there's no confirmation on it, but there's a rumor floating around that Persona 4 Golden's going to be ported to the Switch at some point.
Mm. Well, I guess that could be the...
No confirmation.
That could be the test run.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll have to
I just think that the guys at Atlas are just trolling at this point.
Yeah, I feel like it. I mean, they just seem to do what they want.
Yeah. But anyways, so now moving away from... Okay, we got the game. We talked about gaming. Now let's get to our topic. So, this episode is going to be another anime episode.
Woo, but it's going to be different
if you couldn't
from
guess
our
from the
last
title.
ones.
Yeah, well... We're not just going to ramble on for an hour about random anime again.
So the concept of this one was that we both took series that we both are super passionate about. So I chose One Piece and Bill chose Inuyasha. And we forced each other to watch their movies.
Yes.
Yes.
At least a couple of them anyways.
Yeah.
So the whole idea was we'd watch one Inuyasha movie, followed by a One Piece movie, followed by another Inuyasha movie, and then followed by another One Piece movie.
Yep.
Now, the difference is the reason why we only limited it to 2 though was because there's only 4 Inuyasha movies.
Yeah. And
as opposed to like 100 One Piece movies.
Well, no, there's not 100, but I think there's like 20.
Yeah, it's up there with Dragon Ball in terms of movies. So.
Yep.
But yeah. So we decided to limit it to 2. Yep. I picked 2 out of the 4, and she picked 2 out of the how many ever she has.
Yes.
So we decided the movies that we chose for this one. So I guess representing the Inuyasha films.
Yes.
We have Inuyasha Movie 2, The Castle Beyond the Looking Glass. And then we also watched after that. So then the one we watched after that was the movie, which I forget the name of now.
Oh, I thought you were telling me to like say my movie. So
no,
I was really
I forgot the name.
Oh, it's Inuyasha the Movie 3, Swords of an Honorable Ruler.
That's the one.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, so we watched those 2, and those are the ones I consider to be the best of the 4, because there's only 4 Inuyasha movies total.
Yep.
And they're kind of in this gray area of... They're not... Well, I mean, they can be considered canon, but at the same time, they're also... It's confusing.
Well, I think we'll go into it, too, when we talk about it, too.
Yeah. Now, the movies you picked were...
So the movies I picked were... I chose... One Piece Stampede, not as long of a title. And then I also chose One Piece Z, which Stampede I had actually seen before. I've watched it a couple times because I'm weird like that. So I'd seen before. But actually, One Piece Z, we actually were in a mall and we were shopping and I found it because I haven't been able to find it on DVD and it wasn't available on digital either. So I ended up buying that, and we ended up watching that. So it was kind of my first impression too.
So I guess its actual, well. I guess its actual name is One Piece Film Z.
Yeah, it's One Piece Film Z.
Yeah. Or Zed.
Or Zed.
Because I feel like it's Zed because the character in the movie is referred to as Zed. But yep. Whatever.
Well, it's actually I guess the Japanese name, when it's when they put it so you can read it in English, I think it's Zed. I think it's Zed. So
yeah, well,
I think you are correct. But in America, it's just the strong Z.
Yeah, they make the same sound regardless, so whatever.
Yep.
But yeah, so I guess we'll start with... So it was an easy 2 for 2.
Yep.
Which is funny because both your movies were made relatively recently.
Yeah. I picked 2 of the more recent ones. Mine...
Yep.
Stampede, I believe, was made in 2019. Yep, it was released in 2019. And Z was released in...
I think it was 2017, I read.
I think it was 2017.
No, 2012. No, 2012.
2012, yeah, actually, no, that's right. Because I remember looking at
That's an older one, yeah.
It is older, yeah. Which I can't wait to talk about the ending credits for
Oh, yeah, that dated that one real quick.
Yeah, but we'll wait until we're talking about it. So let's go in and start talking about your first choice.
So, the first choice was... Inuyasha, the movie, the Castle Beyond the Looking Glass, which was the second movie in the series.
Yep.
And I chose this one over the first Inuyasha film because the first Inuyasha film to me feels just kind of like an extra long episode of the show.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. Now this one... So out of the 4 Inuyasha films, this one I think has the best... overall, the way I kind of rate anime films is there's story, then the animation, and then the music, and then the overall just kind of complete package.
Mm-hmm.
This one I feel like it has the best overall everything.
Yep.
Probably not the best story because I think we'll get to the one I think that has the best story. But I think it has the best balance of story, animation, and just overall, like, movie feel.
Yep.
Now, this one, though, is also one of those ones that's in that canon gray area.
Yes.
Because, theoretically, reading into it, like, all four Inuyasha movies could technically be canon, because there's really nothing that makes them not canon, aside from them not being in the manga.
Yeah.
But, there's also nothing in it that explicitly makes it non-canon either, if that makes sense.
It's kind of in that gray state of, like, is it canon? Is it not canon? Who knows? It could be both. It could be argued on both sides.
You don't have to watch this movie to understand Inuyasha, basically. It's a perfectly standalone film. And it's really interesting, because the movie starts out, like, pretty interesting, where it's, like, it's during the new moon, and Inuyasha's, like, in the, he's hidden away.
Yeah, because he doesn't have his powers currently.
Yeah, because his demon powers are gone. He's fully human. So they're facing off against Kagura and what was Kana? Yep.
Mirror bitch.
the mirror one, yeah.
The mirror bitch.
And they're facing off against them, and then eventually Sunrise comes, and then they get straight up ambushed by Naraku.
Yep.
In his lone movie appearance.
Yep.
And he straight up gets defeated in the beginning of the film.
I will say, I need to comment that it was a little, like, anticlimactic that he just got beaten, like, so quickly and so easily. Like, it didn't
It's anticlimactic initially. It makes sense later.
Yes. No, I agree with that. But it was when I watched it, I was like, well, that's kind of sucks.
Yeah. But, so Naraku gets defeated, and, like, literally, like everything in the world kind of, like, changes. Like, Kohaku is kind of freed from his curse, and Sango goes after him, and then you got Moroku no longer has the wind tunnel in his hand, and he's kind of coming to terms with that. And then Kagome's kind of, like, in this weird thought of, like, do I still need to hunt? Do I still need to look for the Shikan jewel?
Yeah.
And Inuyasha's just being the emo guy he is.
Yep.
As he was during this point in the series.
Yes.
Because I think, canon-wise, this takes place some point before the Band of Seven arc.
So it takes place, it says that, like, in the Wikipedia description, it says it would take place between episodes 95 and 96.
Yeah, so I always assume, like, some point before the Band of Seven, because that's still when Naraku has his old design.
Okay.
Also, this movie has, like, the most basic appearance of Sesshomaru out of the movies.
Oh, yeah, he's literally there for, like, 2 seconds.
2 seconds, where he gets just kind of noticed. I think Kikyo is also in there for, like, 2 seconds.
I think it shows her and her little, like, soul snakes, like her little snake friends.
Her soul harvesters or whatever, yeah.
I like the snow snakes better. The soul snakes better.
Yeah. But yeah, they appear literally for like a second, because that's not really the point of this movie.
No, they're just they're just there for the fans to go, oh my god, it's Sesshomaru, and then have them be like, oh,
I like how you said that. I like how you said that in the Jackin voice.
I mean, I wasn't really going for the jogging voice, so I'm a little insulted. Fuck you.
You just got all... Well, it was like a mix of Jackin and Rin.
I was just going, oh my god. I wasn't doing a jogging voice. I'm insulted. Fuck you.
So, you're just happy that Jackin doesn't appear in this film.
Yeah, I was. I hate him. He's my least favorite character.
Yeah. I don't even think they have a voice work in the movie.
Good. He shouldn't be heard.
But yeah, anyway, so yeah, we move on from there, and then it's kind of like there's a whole kind of subplot of, like, they get ambushed by Kagura and Kana again, and they end up stealing a part of Inuyasha's fire rat robe.
Yes, because they're basically going around and stealing a bunch of stuff to, like, summon something, right? When they're stealing a whole couple of things.
Yeah, and I will say, this movie has some odd animation at times.
Oh yes, there's sometimes where just Kagome's face was just really fucked up for some reason.
Yeah,
like her
Kagome
eyes were just too far apart, or just like
so
a lot of forehead.
For some reason in the movies, most of the characters look great, but every movie Kagome looks weird.
Yeah, her design
like they
never
screwed up
looks
Kagome
right.
in every movie in terms of design, in my personal opinion, anyways.
Which I feel like shouldn't be that hard since she doesn't have that very like of a hard, difficult design. Like her design's not the most challenging. Like it's pretty basic.
Yeah. It's also weird too because this was technically the last. These films were like the last vocal performance of the original Kagome voice actress, I believe.
Oh really?
Well, because they recorded the dub for all of these after the end of the original series.
Yep.
I don't know if it was the movies were the last thing she did, or if it was the video games because she did voice work for those too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, because by the time we got the final act, she had a different voice.
Yep.
But anyways, yeah. So it keeps going on, and eventually we get to this whole climax of like they resurrect this like ancient like. Is she a demon? I never really got that figured out.
So I remember. I remember what they used for the villain's plot was actually it's like a fairy tale in Japan where it's like this,
okay, yeah, that's what it was.
Like it's this princess of it's Kaguya is like it's a story in Japan. I'm really certain it is because there's actually another anime that I saw, that uses the same kind of story, but it's a Japanese myth. I believe it has to do with like Kaguya was a princess, she was a princess and someone like discovered her and she had like this cape or something and like someone stole it.
The robe thing that
so she has like a robe and like when the robe was stolen, she was basically stuck on the land and she ended up marrying like this like peasant man or something, and then the peasant man became a king. But I believe
I completely forgot about Hojo because Hojo's in this movie.
Oh yeah, he makes his appearance. But this anime was based off, I believe it was inspired kind of by that Japanese fairy tale.
Yeah.
Yes.
But anyways, getting back to like the plot summary. So basically, there's a point where the entire like world gets like time time stops, like freezes.
Yes.
And the whole reason why the cast doesn't get frozen in time because so there's like a subplot in Inuyasha that doesn't get touched on a lot where Kagome is technically time displaced.
Yes.
So like time related things don't affect her.
Yep.
But the reason why like none of the characters get like affected is because they have bandages on.
Yeah, they have bandages from her time, so they're.
And Kagome has a locket that I'm not Kagome. Inuyasha has a locket that Kagome gave him.
Yep. So he's all good.
But basically, the final climax is they finally get to like the final face off with it's Kaguya, right?
Yep. Kaguya.
And she's trying to seal away Inuyasha's human side. Yep. And make him full demon. And Kagome's kind of like trapped up there, and while they're all fighting and trying to like stop her, basically it's the whole climax is Kagome breaks free from the thing that's sealing her, and she basically kisses Inuyasha to break the curse that's yeah, the thing the fandom wanted for the entire show.
And then it might not be canon.
No, it's canon. I think it's canon, but it's implied that Inuyasha doesn't remember.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And then of course, so as this is happening, then suddenly it's like, surprise, Naraku's been in Kohaku's back the entire fucking movie.
I'm not dead yet.
Yeah, and he like bursts out of Kohaku's back in like one of the most disturbing scenes in the entire movie.
That was real fucked.
Yeah, it was. I was like, what the fuck? It's like, poor Kohaku.
Yeah. But thinking about it too, like, after the disappointment of the beginning where it was like they beat him so easily, I was like, yeah, that's pretty Naraku, like, to just, like, hide himself in someone's back and just be like, hey guys, I didn't actually die. I was just fucking with you all. So.
Yeah, so then it basically ends there with the whole they fight for the entire thing. Kaguya and Naraku are basically fighting as this goes on, and then everyone's basically like, "Let's get out of here!" And they have to escape from the mansion.
Yep.
And it's just this whole goofy thing, and this is an incredibly abridged like retelling of the movie.
Oh yes, yes.
Eventually, they kind of get out, and then it's basically like Naraku escapes with Kohaku and Kagura and Kana, and basically Lady Kaguya gets sealed away again, and basically the status quo gets returned to normal, and basically back to the way it was.
Oh, I think what happens to, I'm reading the synopsis. So Kaguya can't come back because what Hojo does is he actually throws her like robe into the volcano. So she can't come back.
Right.
Yep.
I've completely forgot about Hojo's presence in this movie because he's such a forgettable character.
Yeah, he literally. Well, no, he was there for the bath scene, and then that was it. That was his whole character.
He was there for the 5-second fan service scene that they had to throw in.
Yup, because that's what the fans want.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Yes.
It was just so that we could have that, and then Inuyasha gets in trouble for doing nothing again.
Yep.
They can get a sit boy in, and then Moroku can get slapped.
Yep.
Because slapstick comic relief.
I believe it says that too in the end. Yeah, in the end of the synopsis, it says that he attempts to kiss Sango, and then he slaps him. That's in the synopsis.
Yes. Well, because they weren't together. Well, they weren't like officially together yet at this point. They were still kind of like
still on the lines of "Are we? Aren't we?"
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. So that's movie 2, and I like the movie. It's flawed. It's not a perfect film by any means.
Yeah.
Like there is a lot of subplots going on at once, and it's not the easiest one to follow. I'd say. But overall, it's probably the easiest one to just watch because there's no like backstory that you need really for anything. You can just sit down and watch it.
As someone who hasn't really watched Inuyasha in a while, I was able to sit down and just watch it with like ease. It was pretty easy to get into and watch, I will say.
Yeah. Now, and before we move on now to One Piece Stampede, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Woo!
And we're back.
We are back. Woo.
So, now it's your time to shine. One Piece Stampede.
Yes, so the next movie we watched after was, as Bill just said, One Piece Stampede. Which, cool thing about One Piece Stampede was it was actually made to commemorate the anime's 20th anniversary. So, pretty neat. So I'd say, like, to describe One Piece Stampede, kind of like how you did in the beginning with, like, the story and stuff, I'd have to say the story for One Piece Stampede, it's a 5. It's not the greatest story, but when you come for this movie, you come for the fighting scenes because that's where it really shines. I'd say
this is a very fan servicey movie. I will say.
Oh yeah, this is very fan servicey. This is like
when I say fan service, I don't mean fan service. I mean
no, like fighting fan. Not the anime girls. Like you come for the fighting fan service. But I'd say
they're there, but that's just Oda's thing.
Well, yes. So fighting is 10 out of 10 where it is. And then there's like obviously like the comedy of One Piece and stuff, and just the whole overall One Piece-ness. It was, I'd say, 10
great animation.
Yeah, animation is great because where One Piece Stampede came out, it came out after the animation changed with the Wano arc, so it has the Wano arc animation, which is really great. There's some 3D CG in there, but honestly, like, it wasn't the worst CG you've ever seen, right?
No, it's only noticeable because I pick up on the CG all the time. I was like, oh, there's the CG.
No, it definitely wasn't
there was
bad.
CG in the Inuyasha movie, too, and it was very noticeable.
Oh, yes. So, definitely not bad CG, but it's definitely there, so if you're not a fan of CG, It's only there for like 20, like not that much. It's not that noticeable.
It was mostly for an effect.
Yeah, it was mostly
Yeah.
for an effect for building up the villain character. So,
Yeah.
so I think too, one thing that's interesting about this movie too is that a lot of the times with the One Piece movies, they put in episodes that are most likely filler episodes that will build up to the movies, because none of the One Piece movies are canon. Um, or if there are, there's very few of them. Um, but
So
for
it's like the Naruto, it's like the Naruto ones where it's like there's only like two canon movies.
yeah, for the most part, like this movie, it is not canon because where it would take place in the movies just would not make sense at all. So it's definitely not canon. But it is very, very good. It's a very good one. So basically, like how the movie starts out is that the Straw Hat Pirates are invited to a pirates festival, where it's basically like a whole bunch of pirates are getting together, and they're gonna compete to like win a prize. And the prize was actually like treasure that belonged to Gold Roger, who was like the most infamous pirate from the anime. So as they go in, they they go into the island. They're having fun. They ended up like boating up a water fountain to get to an island in the sky, and they're basically all the pirate crews, which is very fan servicey because it shows all the iconic crews from the show, even some of the ones that no one likes, like the what is it? Like the Foxy Pirates that were from filler, but they'll never leave. So they come in, they're showing. It's basically a lot of fan service for like the fans. They're going in, they're fighting, and they're basically trying to get this treasure that's on a hill. So as this is going on, they're fighting and stuff. Suddenly, like the island just starts like collapsing on itself and like it's getting destroyed. It's because the villain character has come in, and the villain character was a non-canon member of like Gold Roger's crew, part of the Rogers Pirates, and he was a Douglas Bullet, and he's basically incredibly strong. He joined Gold Roger's crew just so he could fight him, just so that they could like fight, because he was fighting people and constantly winning. So when he met Roger, he met someone that he could like he had to try and he could never beat.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the reason why he ended up going to Impel Down, which is like the jail for all the pirates in One Piece. And one of the main reasons was like he ended up becoming like super fearsome after Gold Roger died, because he basically lost the one person that kind of kept him in line. So basically he kind of went on a rampage and eventually ended up in Impel Down. So eventually what happens is they're fighting, the Straw Hats are fighting them, and they're basically like, he is so strong that they're really struggling to fight it. So throughout the movie, it's just basically all the crews, like all your favorite crews are joining up together to basically fight this guy, and he has a devil fruit that I believe it was trying to think what his devil fruit was again. It's the Oh, okay. His devil fruit is like he's able to change like the composition of matter. So he's basically able to like
right.
like he has like the ship, and he basically like merges with the ship, and basically it becomes like kind of like a giant, like he becomes like a giant ship monster man. Which sounds stupid, but it was interesting.
That was the CG part.
Yeah, and that was the CG part. But also like with One Piece, like there's certain power sets in it as well. There's like there's obviously like the devil fruit powers, but then there's also a thing called hockey, which he is able to use armament hockey, which is able to like create like an armor on your skin. So combined with his already like huge like giant metal body that he merged with, he can also armorize it with his hockey. So he's basically like almost unbeatable, or at least that's what they think. So they're fighting, and he also can use another hockey, which is like the Conqueror's hockey, which is basically like the someone's like, if someone has an incredibly strong will, they can use it on other people. Which he does have a scene where he uses it with Luffy, and it's like all the fans go woo, yeah. That's the best way to describe it. This movie is very fan servicey. So like the plot doesn't.
I took that because I had no, as someone who has literally all my One Piece knowledge is my brief experience with the 4 Kids dub and everything you've told me.
Yes.
I had no issues following along.
Yeah, it's very fan servicey, but it's still, you don't need like
the most of the questions I had during the watching was, who's that? Or,
yeah.
What's that?
Yeah, I think that was more...
What's that hole on the back of the ship?
It's the Kuda burst hole, Bill. It's not the ship. He kept calling it the ship's butthole, and it just pissed me off. Anyways, and then at some point during like they're all fighting and stuff, and Luffy is like kind of teaming up with some other people to like take on he's basically the main force against Douglas Bullet, but also like the Marines show up at one point, which shows like the iconic Marine characters, as well as like some of the 7 warlords. They also show up, which like they literally show up for like 2 minutes. So it's basically just like kind of like Shishomaru's cameo in the last movie. It's just for the fans.
Well, they needed to have Luffy and Boa
Luffy.
getting rejected. Whatever.
Sorry, you know that makes me sick.
Luffy, anyway. Whatever.
So basically, the fighting goes on. Oh, and there's also like a buster call going on the island, which for a buster call for you noobs, Bill, you noob. A buster call is basically a call to the Marines that basically makes it so that like they're basically going to destroy the whole island, and anyone who's on it and doesn't escape is going to die with it. So that's basically what a buster call is. So that's happening. So it's basically all this chaos is happening. They have to try and get away from the island. They got to get away from the Marines, but they also got to fight Bullet. So it's a whole lot going on. But as they find out, at one point they're able to open the chest, the treasure chest, and inside it is a eternal pose for the island Laugh Tale, which for you noobs, Bill, because you're a noob, Laugh Tale is the final island, which contains the One Piece, which is, what the show is named after.
Yeah, so the thing.
The thing everyone is basically sailing to be. So basically, if you're able to get this eternal pose, you're able to become the king of the pirates and sail the Laugh Tale and get Roger's treasure. So basically, like, now, like, the stakes are even higher and everyone else is gunning for it. So in the end, Luffy, after he ends up using like his Gear 4 and his like, that's like where he becomes like big and purple.
His Super Saiyan.
Yeah, I would say that is his like Super Saiyan.
His Super Saiyan, or like I guess his like Naruto like Nine Tails mode or whatever.
Yeah. So a super powered mode, which is funny though because well, I won't go into it because I'm already dragging this out way too long. So anyways, he ends up going, and they do end up defeating Bullet, and after defeating them, Luffy gets his hand on the treasure. And of course, all alliances are over at that point, and everyone is gunning for the treasure. So, what does Luffy do? He just, instead of having people fight over it, he destroys it. So no one gets the eternal pose to Laugh Tale. Which,
yeah, my favorite part about that too was like he had like isn't like Boa one of like the most like notorious pirates in the series?
Yes.
Because she's right there, and he does it in front of her. And if it was anyone else, she'd probably be pissed. But it's Luffy, so she doesn't care.
Do not say Luffy to me.
I'm gonna say it now to piss you off.
Fuck you. Anyways, so he ends up shattering it. It pisses everyone off, and it especially pisses the Marines off, because the Marines were there because they wanted the Roger's treasure, and especially when they found out it was the log post to Laugh Tale. So, of course, and honestly, Luffy destroying it was probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, because that was just so his character.
It also completely invalidates the entire film, which is great.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, though, if Luffy took it with him,
Well, I know it would end the series.
It would end the series and ruin it. But
I just love it because it completely just is like, yep, that whole movie was pointless. Moving on.
But also, like, at this point in the show, they've found the clues that will connect them to the One Piece, and they're just searching for the final clues so that they're able to get to the island. So it would kind of. It also isn't Luffy's style, because in, like, the past, like, they've had the chance, like, they met one of the characters that they met who really impacts Luffy's life is Rayleigh, who was the former first mate of the Roger Pirates. And at one point, he was like someone had asked him about like where about the One Piece, about Laugh Tale, and he immediately told them to like shut up, like started screaming, and was just like, no, we're here for adventure. We are going on this trip, and we are going to find it ourselves without any help. So it was very much his character. It was kind of satisfying it was very satisfying. And then the end of the movie, it kind of finishes with like all of the pirate crews escaping, and Luffy's brother Sabo, I believe, comes in, and it's like also kind of does like this nice thing, like where he shows one of the girls from the island has like a devil fruit power where she can like make illusions appear. So she makes like an illusion of like Luffy's dead brother Ace as well, who had Sabo's devil fruit before Sabo took the devil fruit, and like Sabo ends up like fighting the Marines so that they can escape. So it's like a cute little.
Was this the first appearance of Johnny Young Bosch as Sabo?
I don't think so. Or actually it might have been, because I believe One Piece Gold, he has the old voice. So I believe
still the Vic Mignogna voice.
I believe, yeah. So I believe this was his first appearance as Johnny Bosch.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's basically how the movie ends. So I really enjoyed this movie, but like I wasn't coming in for the story. I was coming in for the fighting and the fan service.
There's not a lot of story in this movie.
No, it's really not. It's really not a story centric.
There really isn't a plot. There's just a thing that happens.
Yeah, no, it's just basically just show off all the characters, and
like,
I think
we'll get to it in Film Z, but Film Z actually has a plot.
Oh yeah, no, it most definitely does. So, what did you think of this one?
I mean, so on my anime list, I did rate this movie, and I did give it actually a decent score. I forget which one I gave it though.
Nice. Well,
I know it was definitely less than Z. Let me check. I'm curious what I gave it. Yeah, so I gave it a 7.
Okay, I think that's pretty fair.
Because I never was bored. Like, there was never a point where I was not paying attention. Mm-hmm. I was questioning a lot of things, but that's just because I have no idea what's going on half the time.
Yeah.
I did enjoy some of the side banter though, like the scene where like there's the second group with like the skeleton guy Brooke, right?
Yeah, Brooke.
They're all down underground at one point, and one of my favorite moments where you were so confused was there was the scene where the fart joke happens.
Oh yeah.
But it then cuts. I didn't know his powers, so it then cuts to a scene where it's like his spirit in like this green spirit, and I was like, "What, did his fart come to life?"
No.
And you were like, "No, that's his spirit." I'm like, "Oh."
Well, he ate he can detach his soul from his body.
Yeah, but the timing was right. No, the timing was literally right after the fart joke.
Yeah.
And then it's just a green spirit-looking cloud thing, and I'm like, what, did his fart come to life? I was like, what?
Oh, God.
We had a good laugh over that for a couple minutes.
That was a good one. I mean...
Your reaction was great. You were like, no!
I think I did that several times of you asking a question. I'd be like, no! Ugh.
No, but that one was just funny because you had no idea what to say.
I didn't. Especially...
Well, I had a legitimate question because that's what it looked like.
I think I had a similar reaction when you talked about the ship having a butthole too, and I was like, no.
Well, no, that was just because I knew that would rile you up. I legitimately thought the fart came to life.
I mean, it wouldn't be something it's something that could happen in One Piece, to be honest. With all the powers, I mean, it could happen.
Definitely some flashy fight scenes, though, I will say that.
Yes. Definitely flashy.
What was cool, though, too, was between these two movies, like, the older animation style in, like, the Inuyasha films compared to, like, the more modern. Especially in this one, because this was only, like, two years ago.
Yeah.
I will say, though, it was definitely... It kept you on your feet the whole way through.
Oh, yeah. It was... I never was bored watching it.
Yeah, there wasn't a dull moment, I guess you could say.
That's what I think... One thing that is pretty good about the One Piece movies, I will say, is they do keep the pace really well. Like, throughout the whole movie, like... It doesn't... It's like a 2-hour movie, but it didn't feel like 2 hours. Like,
no, it did not feel like 2 hours.
Like, it
honestly,
goes very quick.
It was longer than the first Inuyasha movie we watched first, and that one felt longer.
No, it definitely went by quick. But I think that also shows how entertaining it is, because, you know...
It was definitely a fan service movie, though. Like, every minute, though, it's like, hey, look, it's this character. Hey, look, it's this character.
Hey, look. Hey, look. Yep.
Hey, remember this person? Yeah.
Yep. It's definitely a fun movie. I enjoyed this one quite a bit.
Oh, I guess I mentioned I gave this movie a 7. I guess I should say for Inuyasha, I gave that one a 9 in Inuyasha movie 2.
Yeah.
I might want to drop that back down to an 8 now that I think about it.
Yeah. I would say for me, I would give the first one a 7. Only because it definitely felt long watching it.
Yeah, there was kind of a lot of
there were
a lot of
lull moments in it.
The point in the middle of it where, like, it was very... Before they actually start getting into the actual... Like, the point after Naraku's defeated, but before the actual, like, subplot begins, that was very slow,
yes.
I will say. Yeah, I dropped my rating down to an 8, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair.
So, moving now back to Inuyasha, because... So, following directly after completing Stampede, we went right into Inuyasha Movie 3, Swords of an Honorable Ruler.
Yep.
Now, this one is by far the best of the 4 Inuyasha films. And it's also the most... At the time, it was considered canon by a lot of people, but it was also... somewhat could also plausibly be not canon.
Yep.
Thanks to Yashahime, now it's pretty much 100% canon.
Yep.
So, this movie is the backstory movie that gives us the origin story of Inuyasha. In a sense. So the movie starts actually as a really cool intro where it's Sesshomaru talking to a figure on a hill that's revealed to be him and Inuyasha's father.
Yep.
Who doesn't have an official name. The fandom refers to him as Inu...
Isn't it like
what
Inu Tashio?
No, Tashio or something.
I think, yeah.
The
don't
fandom...
they call him Toga?
Yeah, Toga's like his fandom name. Yeah, but his... Well, no, in the casting, they just refer to him as Dog General.
Dog General. Great Dog Demon. Great Dog...
No, the best, though, is... The best, though, is in terms of voice actors, he's voiced by Don Brown, who's also the voice of Jaqen. Yeah.
No.
I always found that funny. But yeah, the movie, it starts out with this famous scene of him talking to Sesshomaru right before he goes off, because he was just in a battle at that point. And he's very injured at the time.
Yep.
And Sesshomaru is basically telling him why is he going to waste his time.
Yeah.
To go save the human woman, as it's implied.
Yes.
And he basically tells Sesshomaru, do you have anything that you want to protect? Which is a very important thing throughout the series for Sesshomaru's character development.
Yep.
And of course, at the time, Sesshomaru doesn't give a shit. And they leave it at that.
Yep.
And then their father will basically heads off to his. Is it implied that they're married? I've never actually got that implication.
I don't know if it does. I don't think they were married. I think they were just lovers.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, he goes to after Inuyasha's mother, Izuyoi, I think's her name.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And because she's pregnant with Inuyasha at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the mansion where she's staying, so there was a soldier from the village she was in, and his name is, what is his name?
Isn't it?
Takamaru of Setsuna.
Yep.
Which is funny in hindsight, but that's beside the point. But so he was in love with Izuyoi, or Izuyao, however you say her name, and he was not happy about the fact that she was in love with the demon. So he, right after Inuyasha's born, he just straight up kills her, and then sets the mansion on fire. So then it shows their father coming through the forest to come rescue her, and he uses Tenseiga to bring her back to life, and then faces off against Takamaru as to let them escape. And then it's implied that he died in the battle.
Yep.
Because then it's of course shown that they have to of course get rid of this. They have to basically do something with his swords.
Mm-hmm.
One of which was given to, as we know, Shishomaru, the Tenseiga.
Yep.
The Tessaiga was put in his grave for later because Inuyasha would need it. And then there was the third sword.
Yes, the bad
now we'll get to the
sword.
We'll get to the third sword later, because then it cuts back to present day. And you got more typical Inuyasha shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
The typical plot lines.
Sit boy.
Basically it starts with Inuyasha travels through the Bone Eater's Well from the feudal era to visit Kagome in the modern era.
Yep.
Because she's, actually living her life.
Yeah, going to school, getting an education.
Yeah, the thing that the series kind of forgot about towards the end.
Yep.
But she's at gym class.
Oh. Yeah.
And they're playing volleyball. And as the ball's coming, Kagome is about to hit the ball, Inuyasha steals it and pops it. Because he thinks it's a threat. Yeah. And then she sits him, because that's what she does.
Yes. Yes.
And this movie definitely by far has probably one of the probably has the most emphasis on Kagome and Inuyasha's relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, considering the previous movie was the one where they kissed.
Yeah.
Oh, I just realized we forgot about the photo booth scene from the other movie.
Oh. Yeah.
Where they're fighting in the photo booth.
So silly.
In the pictures. But anyways, so eventually it cuts back to her the family shrine.
Yep.
Where the grandfather is cleaning out, and he discovers this sword, which is actually the evil sword that Inuyasha's father had.
Yep.
Which was called the...
Coincidence that they magically have it. No.
Yeah. The Soanga was the name of the sword. And essentially at one point, the seal on the sword breaks, and the sword flies through the air and flies away, and the grandfather... And everyone's like, what the hell? Yep. And of course, Inuyasha and Kagome come across it. Mm-hmm. And they have to stop it because it's going to destroy the modern era. And the sword basically overpowers Inuyasha when he tries to pick it up and takes control of him. And he basically gets sent back to the feudal era.
Yep.
And that kind of kicks off the plot, because then from there on we get kind of you get more of Shishomaru and stuff, because Shishomaru is once again being his pissed off. Basically, Shishomaru has daddy issues.
Well,
that's the easiest way to put it.
I mean, you said it, so he's not alive to kill you, so you're good.
He does.
He does.
He's so bitter about the sword.
He really is. He needs to get over it.
But anyways, it kicks off the whole plot of Inuyasha is basically he can't control the sword because the sword is overpowering him because he's not strong enough.
Yep.
Literally the only person strong enough to control the sword would probably be Shishomaru.
Yeah. But Shishomaru's like, I ain't about that sword.
No, he doesn't really want it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still bitchy about the fact that Inuyasha has it, but aside from that.
Yep.
But anyways, they get to a point where Inuyasha's kind of just trying to, like... He's trying to avoid everybody because he can't control himself.
Yep.
And eventually, they run into Shishomaru, and they're facing off, and Kagome and the gang also arrive. And there's a whole confrontation, and at one point the sword tries to attack Jacken and Rin, because of course they're right there in the middle of it.
I mean, I can understand it wanting to attack Jacken, though. You know, I get it.
Well, it just did it to piss off Shishomaru.
Yeah.
But to stop it from happening, Kagome, like, basically gives him the mother of all sits.
Yep.
Which actually breaks the,
it breaks the rosary. Right?
Well, yeah, it breaks that, but it also severs the connection, because the sword... It actually overpowers the sword.
Oh.
Because the sword ditches him as it happens, and
Yep.
that then kicks off the sword, basically gets flung away, and it takes over some zombie at one point.
Oh, fun.
And it eventually, it comes across the grave of Tekamaru, and it basically brings him back to life.
Yep.
To get revenge, because he loved Inuyasha's mother, and wants to get his revenge, basically, against Shishomaru and Inuyasha.
Yep.
So then the plot kind of kicks off. We finally get to them going to the castle to take it off, to face off with Tekamaru.
Yep.
And the whole time the world's being overrun by the undead, and their only weakness is fire. So basically, the only people that can fight off are, like, you got the gang is basically, you got Jacken, the two-headed dragon, and
Yep.
Kilala are like burning all of them, and then a lot of Haraikos and Moroku doing wind tunnels. No, he can't wind tunnel because they poison.
Oh,
That's right.
yes.
And he's just using his
Using his staff
and his prayer stuff. As Kagome and is basically trying to make it to Inuyasha, who are heading towards the thing. Because the whole subplot is basically the only way they can defeat the Soanga is they have to use both their father's swords at once. But of course, Shishomaru and Inuyasha are not going to work with each other.
No. Why would they do that?
They're going to be little bitches about it.
Yep.
So, eventually they get to the climax, and at some point, Kagome and Rin are just both in the thing and about to both be killed.
Yep.
And then Shishomaru and Inuyasha
Because they need that
appear.
motivation.
Yeah, basically. Well, because Rin has, like, no sense of self-preservation. Will just run into any danger.
Yep.
I also have to say, this movie, out of all four of them, has the wonkiest animation.
Oh, yeah. There are definitely some times where... Especially
the faces
Kagome.
And Rin to a degree, because she has a similar, like, design to Kagome.
Yeah.
It's like that design for some reason they could never get right in the movies. Because Sango looks fine.
Which is funny because, like, they don't have, like, very, like, difficult designs. Like, they're pretty basic characters, but man, their faces look fucked sometimes.
There's some especially in this movie, there's some goofy animation at times. But yeah, eventually they finish off. Essentially, they get a resolution with Tekamaru, and he basically passes away for real.
Yep.
And then the sword the Soanga just becomes its own life entirely. It built its own body. It's the most what the fuck way. So they're facing this sword. And you get this really awesome, like, final climax scene where, like, they're fighting. And then they work together and use both their attacks at once and defeat the sword once and for all. Mm-hmm. And then Inuyasha's and Shishomaru's father finally appears. And you actually get a shot of... You get, like, a full-on, like, frontal shot, because from before that, you only ever saw him either obscured, like, from by the back, or you never saw his face. And you get the closest thing to, like, a face shot.
Yep.
As he basically tells them that, like, he's proud of them, and Shishomaru just brushes him off, like, yeah, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I have daddy issues, go away.
Because of course he does. and Inuyasha isn't really sure how to process it, because he never met the guy.
He's just like, who are you? Do I know you?
It basically ends there with the status quo is reestablished, like in the other movies.
Yep.
And we get some decent credit scenes, and then my favorite is the ending, the stinger, where Kagome puts the beads back on him as a joke. And just because they got to reestablish that.
Well, doesn't she like trick him into doing it too?
Yeah, she tells him she has a surprise for him. She's like, "Close your eyes," and he does it. And then she just puts him on, and he's like, "What the hell?"
No, he's like, "I thought we were done with this."
And then she sit boys him just for fun. It's like people get so offended by the sit boy thing, and I'm always like, "It's fucking comedy. Get over it."
It's funny. Like, oh, he's a dog.
If you don't, if you don't like it, read the manga. It only happens like 4 times in the manga.
Yeah, it's just a funny. Like, stop.
Yeah, but honestly, overall, this movie is definitely the best story.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I did it justice explaining it because I can't really. I don't have a photographic memory like you to explain entire plot summaries.
I don't need. Okay, Z is gonna be a little more rough for me because I haven't like seen that one like as much as Stampede. So give me a break.
But I love the movie. The animation knocks it down a bit because the animation is rough.
Yeah, it's definitely.
But there are some great performances. I like the villains. I thought the villains were really effective.
Oh, I did too. I agree.
And basically the entire cast shows up at one point pretty much throughout it, other than like a few, like Kohaku doesn't appear. Obviously no Naraku.
Yep.
I don't think Kikyo didn't appear in this movie, right?
I don't think Kikyo. I think it wasn't at this point though. Kikyo was like gone.
No, because she's in the 4th movie.
Oh, whoops. She just wasn't in this one.
No, I think this was around the point after she got like incapacitated, but wasn't technically dead yet.
Okay.
I don't really know. I'd have to look at the where it's technically in the canon. But...
It's between episodes 136 and 137.
Yeah, it's somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I'd have to actually look into it. Yeah. But I like this movie. Like this one, I gave a 10 out of 10.
Plot-wise, I appreciated this one more. And, like, definitely the story I appreciated a lot more.
Well, because it goes somewhere.
Yeah, it definitely does go somewhere. And it also, like, I feel like it's not, like, the cheap shot of, like, oh, Naraku's dead. Just kidding, he's back. Like, it's more of, like,
it's fully self-contained.
Yeah.
And it establishes some key plot points that were kind of not explained.
Yeah. For me, I would give this one an 8. I really like the going back into, like, the past. Like, especially, like you said, the key plot points. Especially, like, with, Inuyasha's mother's past. And, like, kind of what happened to her. That was interesting.
Also, you get to see some of the early, like, the Tenseiga being used before Shishomaru got it. Also, there's a lot of foreshadowing in this movie because there's also the famous line of Shishomaru's father telling him, "Is there something in your life that you want to protect?"
Yep.
Because, spoiler, there is.
Yep. And her name begins with R. It ends with N. It has an I in the middle.
Yeah, Jackin, right?
Yeah. People make fan fictions of that, and it grosses me the fuck out.
See, those I just find funny because those are made completely ironically.
No, I don't think all of them are ironic. I don't agree. So I don't. People are weird.
I'd rather that than some of the shit going on in the Inuyasha fan base lately.
Oh yeah. So. True. But I'd give this one an 8. I liked it a lot better than the second one. Not that I didn't like the second one, but I think I give this one an 8 because the plot is a lot better.
See, now if you had seen the first and fourth ones, you'd definitely probably have different opinions.
Oh yeah, I'd probably rate them a lot lower.
Yeah. But
we could always do a part 2 where we watch the first and fourth.
We'll switch to another anime for our part 2, but
yes.
So now, moving on. I mean, I guess tying off. I mean, I love the humor. The humor is great, but I just like Inuyasha humor in general.
Yeah, I did think, even though this one had more of a serious plot, I did think that the humor was much betterly used in this one.
Yeah. And I love the whole just tying everything together.
And this one also didn't feel nearly as long as the second one. Like
No, it didn't, which is weird because it's actually, I think, a longer film than the second one.
I believe it was when I looked at the minutes, but I definitely enjoyed this one a lot more.
It's an old anime, an old movie too, because it came out in '03.
Huh. Interesting.
Now, moving on finally to our final movie.
Yes. So our final movie was One Piece Film Z.
Or Zed.
Or Zed. Or whatever you want. So this one, I actually do. So I don't know. The One Piece fan base, like, it's very particular. Like, people argue over whether things are canon or not. But like, I guess the general consensus is actually One Piece Z is canon. Because from what I read, Oda, the mangaka for One Piece, was actually involved in this movie. So, and there's also, this is one of the movies where it has a subplot, like a filler arc, before leading into the movie. So this one, the filler arc, kind of starts with, they just left Fishman Island, and they're kind of ambushed by the Neo Marines, which are basically Zed's Marine group, which is the main villain, but not villain character. He's a very complicated character, which I think leads into why this movie was so good and so entertaining. So basically, the filler arc is basically they end up fighting these Neo Marines. Especially, they run into this girl who is a giant, but she also ate a devil fruit that basically changes her size, so she can be a giant, but she can also be small. So, and the only reason I'm mentioning this because there is a very funny fight in it, and basically, like, her and her father are, like, these famous chefs, and the Neo Marines captured her father at one point, so they end up helping the girl out to get her father back.
Yes.
And that's kind of the whole plot line, but it leads into the whole Neo Marines movie. But the funny part is, like, she has the devil fruit where she can make herself tiny. So at one point, they think it's a great idea that she jumps in Luffy's mouth as a tiny person and grows in his body so that he can be a giant.
Because he's a rubber man.
Because he's a rubber man, so he can stretch. And it looked so goofy when I watched it, and I just had to mention it because it was just, like, it was so silly and so One Piece-esque. So after this arc, that was basically, like, the prequel into the movie. I will say before you go on,
comparing this movie to Stampede is like apples and oranges, because, oh my god, this movie has a fucking plot.
Yeah, so this movie most definitely had a plot, and it was produced by Oda, so I think that leads into why, like, he put more of a story into it. And the story it's a very good story. So basically, like, this movie, there's these things called the Dynastones. And it's basically, like, these ancient weapons made by the Marines that are super powerful. And a former Marine Admiral, Z, takes it and he uses it for his own purposes. So his kind of whole story is that he was an admiral in the Marines, and he basically, like, had a bad time. He had a really bad time. I believe at one point his, like, whole family got slaughtered, and then after that he was an admiral, his family got killed by pirates that he had brought in to jail. So they got revenge on him by attacking his family, and unfortunately, and it also gravely injured him in the process, and he lost an arm. So that's basically what leads into the Dynastones and, like, the ancient weapons, and he basically gets, like, this fake arm that he's able to use to still fight. So after his family passes away, he kind of dedicates himself to training young Marines. He takes a step back from admiral, and he becomes, like, a trainer. And unfortunately, as they're doing a mission one day, again, he's attacked by his group gets attacked by avenging pirates, and they kill basically all of his Marines. And he basically, like, at that point, like, he loses all hope and trust in the Marines, and he kind of forms the Neo Marines. So, like, he's definitely, like, a very compelling character, because you can definitely, especially when you learn about his backstory and everything that's happened to him and how he's not going the right way about things, but he has a purpose and he has, like, a point, and it's a much more compelling character than, like, Douglas from One Piece Stampede. So, basically, like, the crew actually first kind of encounters Z after I believe they, like, they actually find him in the ocean, and they bring him onto the boat, because he's, like, they just find him floating in the water, so they're like, oh my god, let's help this man.
Yeah.
And they actually nurse him back to health, and then as they're chatting...
That's actually a really great scene, too, because he's actually comes off as a really likable character right from the beginning.
Yeah, so he comes off very likable, very, like, kind person, and they're chatting, and he's actually enjoying talking to, like, the Straw Hats. Like, at some point, like, Sanji offers him food, Sanji's the cook, Chopper, the medic, offers to, examines him, because he's the doctor, and then, of course, like, Robin, one of the crew members, she notices that, like, his arm, his weaponized arm is actually made out of sea stone, which sea stone is basically, you know how, like, if you eat a devil fruit, you can't swim anymore. That's kind of like your price for it. Well, sea stone is basically creates the same effect as if they were in water where they're, like, exhausted and they can't use their password. Devil fruit password. I don't know where that came from. Anyways, so after everything's going on, Z eventually wakes up, and he's very kind and courteous. He, like, thanks them for their treatment, blah, 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 blah. And then he eventually asks them, like, oh, like, what are you doing sailing? And Luffy, of course, being Luffy, reveals that he's the pirate, and he wants to be king of the pirates. And, of course, Z instantly attacks him, instantly starts fighting him, because he has a hatred for pirates, which is very understandable, because, like, obviously pirates have done him very dirty in the thing. So the crew ends up starting fighting, they end up starting fighting him back, and they're really struggling, because he's really strong, and, of course, having a sea stone arm subdues, like, a lot of the crew very easily, because a bunch of them have devil fruit powers, especially Luffy.
I will say what was funny was going from, because we watched Stampede first, which was a later movie. It was really funny seeing how, like, regressed in power everyone was.
Oh yeah, no, because at this point they've only just entered the New World, so at this point Luffy's bounty was only 500 million, and in Stampede Luffy's bounty was 1.5 billion. So you can definitely see he's gotten a lot stronger during the time. So he definitely is a step back in power. So also what happens too is, like, Z has some crew members that come on that join him on the Thousand Sunny, which is Luffy's pirate ship, and one of them has a devil fruit power that can basically rewind someone.
Oh yeah, de-ages them.
Well, it de-ages them, and I believe it's, like, a certain amount of years. So when she touches them, it de-ages them by a certain amount of years.
I think it was like 10 years or something.
Yeah, so if a character was 20 and she touched them, they would go down to 10 years. But say the character was
Brooke.
Well, if they were Brooke, like, obviously, like, they'd be able to. I think that actually happens at one point.
No, Brooke does, and he gets super happy about
it. And he gets super. He's like, I'm 10 years younger. But I believe Nami is only like 19 or something. So she gets touched by it, and it's like 10 years. So, but if she gets touched again, she'll just not exist. Like, it will rewind her to not existing.
Because Robin also gets hit, and she gets de-aged from, like, 30-something to, like, 20-something.
Yes. So, and that's, like, a plot point. So at that point, like, the crew ends up, like, they end up fleeing because they, like, can't overpower them right now. Because Z is just super strong. And he can't, and the crew just can't
Oh,
overpower
isn't
him.
Chopper one of the other ones who gets de-aged too?
Yes, Chopper does too. So he's like a little baby deer, and he looks so cute. So, and I believe what happens next is they end up going to like a nearby island to regroup. And on the island, they end up kind of finding some clues at some point. I believe they end up.
Oh yeah, Luffy's hat gets taken too.
Yeah, Luffy's hat. Oh yeah, I believe. So I believe when they go to the island, they end up running in like they kind of separate, and at one point Luffy runs back into Zed, and Zed takes his hat, which for the fan base knows, like that hat was given to him by Shanks, who saved him when he was a kid, and he has a promise to Shanks that when he becomes a great pirate, he'll return the hat to Shanks. And it also is funny too because that hat was also Gold Roger's hat, so it's a very sentimental hat. So by taking it, it's basically like Luffy's treasure. Like Luffy would take that hat over Gold. So when he loses the hat, it's very devastating to him.
He goes into depression for a good portion of the film.
He does. And then eventually I believe it's Nami who kind of snaps him out of it. And
keep in mind, this is 9-year-old Nami.
This is 9. Funnier. Yeah. So they do end up going back and they fighting Z and the Neo Marines again. And I believe
great fight scene too because Nami is still a child.
Oh yeah. They do get all back to their ages at some point. And at
they
one
defeat
point,
they defeat what's her name, right?
Yeah, they defeat the girl who has the power to de-age by like 10 or more years. It might have been more years, considering I'm like thinking about their ages. But anyways, at one point too, it does go into the past. Like people are asking, like there's these 2 Marines that are pretty prominent. Kobe, which at the original story, Kobe and Helmeppo. At the original story, Luffy saved, like in the very first arc, Luffy saves the character Kobe from being like stuck on a pirate ship when he really wanted to be a Marine all his whole life. So you end up following Kobe kind of throughout the story, and at this point Kobe is like a captain in the Marines. So Kobe, and then Helmeppo was like actually a villain in the series, but he ends up getting recruited to the Marines. And with Kobe, they kind of become really good friends, and they work together to become great Marines. And they actually train under Luffy's grandfather, Garp. So at one point, Garp is actually telling Kobe and Helmeppo kind of the story of Zed and why he's doing what he's doing. But also, this is at a point too where the Marines are actually discussing that they are going to kill Zed. And for Garp, it's a really hard point because they're very good friends and he understands his friend's pain. Especially too, he's even more understanding after like the death of like Ace, who he raised, who was like Luffy's non-biological brother, but brother of arms in a way. So he's definitely one of the most like understanding characters, and he doesn't want to do it, but he kind of has to do it.
Yeah.
So they also at one point they run into an ex-admiral of the Marines, Kuzan, who actually
in the bathhouse.
Yes, in the bathhouse. Who kind of, and he actually gives them a lot of background on Zed as well. He doesn't aid them in their fight, but he does at least kind of point them into the right direction. So eventually they get to the island where Zed is on, and the fight begins. They end up. It is a very good fight scene. There was a lot going on because there was like not only
Luffy's main goal is he wants the fucking hat.
Yeah, Luffy wants the hat back. And it was also interesting too because at this point, like Luffy doesn't have like his Gear 4 ability. Well, he hasn't used them yet, so he can't use them in the movie at this point. So he's kind of going back and fighting in like his older style, which is also pretty entertaining because he kind of has to, because like especially looking at it now, like at this point he wasn't using his power, so he kind of had to figure out different ways to do it. But eventually the Straw Hats they like win their battles where they're fighting like some of Zed's other crew members. But they don't actually defeat Zed in the end. What happens, which was really depressing to watch, but also interesting, is actually Zed lets his crew. He wants his crew members to escape, which I forgot to point out. Like, his crew members were actually his old Marine students, and when he was with that group of Marines that he had taken out as new students, and they all passed away, there was 2 survivors, and those were his 2 crew members. I just remembered that. So he sends them away so that they can escape. And I think he also, at some point, like, he wants, like, he actually compliments Luffy. And it's actually, like, wow, like, to him, like, Luffy would be the only kind of pirate that he would respect. Because Luffy isn't the kind that just goes out to kill, like, just kill, like, the pirates he's encountered. Like, he has a goal and he just wants to be king of the pirates. And he just wants to find the One Piece and sail the seas. Mm-hmm. So, it ends up the Straw Hats end up leaving, and I don't know if they rescue the 2 of the Neo pirates, but
they survive, I believe.
I believe they do survive, that's for sure. I don't know if they help them. I believe they help them. But what happens in the end is that Zed is actually near death after his battle with Luffy, because he's much older. And he did fight very hard. And at one point, Luffy actually
Great fucking battle, too.
Yeah, Luffy destroys his sea stone arm. So he's basically lost, like, the thing that could really help him fight. So they flee, and he basically stays there, and to try and kind of finish out his mission. And unfortunately, he doesn't finish out his mission. And one of the admirals, like Kizaru, who his devil fruit is basically light, he ends up killing Z with, like, beams of light. And the ending was just, like, so sad. Like, I remember watching it. It's so sad because it actually does the movie ends
you get the flashback
with the flashback to him as a young child and him pretending to be a hero. And, like, that's where the Z came in.
Well, because it's a perfect way to end it off, because the whole movie is, like, he's supposed to be a tragic villain.
Yeah.
And that ending scene basically, like, saves him from, like, the whole ending of the film basically, like, saves him from being, like, a bad character, because the whole time he is such a likable villain.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we get one of the greatest credit scenes ever.
Oh, wait, but before I do that, I did want to touch on, too, is that, like, as the Straw Hats are leaving, like, I believe, like, Luffy ends up actually, like, crying. Like, he's actually very upset, like, because he, like, had a connection with the man. Like, he really understood. And I believe, like, Kuzan, the ex-Marine, who has the ice powers, like, told him that, like, this is
that's what happens.
This is the way he wanted to go out. Like, Kuzan saves the 2. That's it.
Yeah, because they're on the hill later on, and he sees
they're
both
at the
them.
gravestone. That's it.
Yeah.
And the gravestone has his, like, battle arm that is broken. And it's very symbolic, too, because the imprint of Luffy's fist when he destroyed it is on there. And it ended very well. But then...
we got one of the greatest credits ever.
We were completely thrown off guard when the ending credit...
dating this movie considerably. It starts with so it's 2 Avril Lavigne covers.
It is.
First, it's a cover of Bad Reputation by Joan Jett.
No, I thought it was This Is How You Remind Me first.
No, it was Joan Jett first, and then it was How You Remind Me.
Yeah. And it was just like...
Well, no, because we were laughing, because I was like, oh, it's Joan Jett, that's funny.
But, like, we're both, like, listening, and we're both like, but that's not...
Well, because you gotta remember, because
so we're like, it shows who is this?
Well, because it shows the images of all the characters as kids when it's playing the Bad Reputation part, because it's such an upbeat song.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden it cuts to the Nickelback song, and I was like, what song is this? I know this song, and I'm like, this is fucking Nickelback. Which makes sense, because Avril Lavigne was married to Chad Kroeger at one point. So.
Yes, and she did, like, a couple covers.
But what's funny is I was reading just right now, apparently the reason Bad Reputation's in it is because that's actually one of Oda's favorite songs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he actually sent a personal thank you to Avril Lavigne for doing the covers
Oh my god, that's so funny.
after she agreed to do it for the movie.
I found it so hilarious that, like,
It's
Avril
so
Lavigne...
dated, though. It, like, dates the movie so hard.
And then the funniest part, too, was, like, after that movie, I went on, like, an Avril Lavigne binge, and I just re-listened to all of her music after
Well,
that.
it's really bad now, because whenever I think One Piece now, all of a sudden in my head I just hear...
This is how you remind...
Na 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 na. Yeah.
Yeah.
That just immediately pops into my head. I'm like, great.
Yep.
No, I like this movie though.
No, I would say this one, like, it's a 9, but it's, like, very close to a 10. The story, like, the only thing I wish is, like, that this was animated in the new art style, but even then, animation
it still looks
great.
pretty good.
It still looked great for the time. And the story was great, and I think that a lot of that has to do with, like, that Oda was involved.
Then it has a really likable villain.
Yeah, like, the villain is so, like, tragic, and, like, you feel for him. Like, you know, you definitely feel for him, because he basically had, like, it sucks that, like, his family died, and then, like, his second family basically died, and he was, like...
But even, like, in the first scene with him where he's talking to the Straw Hats before he turns on him, it's like, he is a really nice guy. Like,
yeah, a very likable character.
And even then, you understand why he betrays them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave this film a 8 on my anime list.
Yeah.
Which I think is fair. Especially for a non-One Piece fan.
For a non-One Piece fan, I think that is very fair. Very, very
It also
fair.
it had a good mix of humor, drama, and, like, action, too, which was nice.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
And it didn't rely on fan service to, like, get
the
point across.
The one fan service scene was for the ladies.
Yeah.
It was the best scene with the men.
It's kind of hard to be fan servicey when the only female cast members, one of them is a 9-year-old for most of the movie.
Well.
So.
It was definitely a really great film, and, like, it was fun too because this was my first appearance for it too. Like, I had never watched, like, Stampede I had watched before. This was my first time watching it, so it was a whole new experience for me as well. But I definitely really enjoyed this film. Really liked it. I
think this movie, actually, I was reading, I think this movie actually came out before, like, a number of the arcs where a bunch of these characters were actually introduced. For in English, anyways, I mean.
Oh, the English dub? Yeah.
Because I think it was actually the official first appearance of Brooke in America.
That's possible, actually. That's actually very possible.
I was reading that. I think it was someone said it was, like, his first appearance in in the English dub, technically.
So this one is tough because the film came out originally in Japan in 2012, and it came out in America in 2014 with the dub. So I'm trying to think.
I mean, it is possible because, like, the Dragon Ball Super, like, movie, Brawly, that came out before Super was finished dubbing.
I definitely One Piece. I'm, like, trying to see Neo Navy arc. Let's see. Because let's see, when was this? So it was released in 2012. I'm trying to see when the episodes were.
Well, because you got to remember, what Funimation was significantly behind compared to where they honestly should have.
Most definitely, they're definitely farther behind. It doesn't clearly show on the Wikipedia, but I would not be surprised if Brooke, or it might have been that Brooke might have, like, just appeared too. That could also be it.
He might not have been voiced yet. That's the thing.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good film, I will say.
Yeah. I liked it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So this was an interesting experiment, I'd say.
So I guess, like, a good question was, like, does this movie ever make you want to maybe watch One Piece at one point? Or watch a couple more movies?
I'm interested in watching One Piece. I just don't have fucking a year to watch it.
You don't need a year.
I don't work from home like you do. So.
I don't work from home all the time. I just work from it sometimes. You could put it on at work.
You binged through Super in like a day on what took me like fucking 2 months.
All right. Well, I put it on while I'm like working out and stuff too.
See, I can't do that. I can't multitask.
Well, you need to learn. Oh my god. Sorry,
What?
I looked at the time counter and I legitimately thought this was not going to take.
Oh yeah, yeah. Alex at the start before we recorded was like, so this one's probably not going to be an hour. There's no way we're going to fill an hour. We're already like we're over an hour and a half now.
Yep.
We're getting close to our 2-hour limit.
Every time we do an anime episode, they just always are absurdly long.
Yeah, well, because we're talking about two things that we know a lot about.
Yep.
Have a passion for, as you could say.
Yep.
Yeah, so we should definitely plan to do the next iteration of this, probably when I come down and visit.
So what do we want to do for the next one? JoJo's?
Are there movies?
No, there's episodes though. I could pick some of like the best episodes, like my favorite. I could pick like a good episode from like each from like my favorite parts, and I'll pick like 3 episodes.
Alright, I'll have to think of something.
Yeah.
Because I have plenty to watch.
Yeah.
I don't want to bore you with a slice of life, though.
Well, no. I mean, like, that's the thing, though. Is, like, you may not like JoJo, so, like, you don't know. And also, like...
I don't know.
You could pick a movie... Well, it might be easier if you pick something, like, with episodes, so... Even, like, I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll talk about this off camera later.
Yeah, but you guys wait. There's gonna be another one.
Yeah. There'll be probably many of these, along with RuneScape episodes.
Woo! Because that's our new series, and this is a new series on the podcast. Woohoo!
But that'll be for a time in the future, because we're gonna obviously work on a few other things in between.
Oh, yes. And we have, like, a ton of episodes pre-recorded, so...
Yeah, we're gonna be... Yeah, but they're gonna be hearing about snow. By the time this comes out, the snow's probably gonna be gone.
I know, and it's also funny, too, because by the time, like, this one's coming out, my mysterious announcement, like, probably already passed. So, way already passed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But anyways, guys, once again, thanks for joining us on the Gaming and Collecting Podcast. The Gaming and Collecting Podcast is made on Anchor Podcast, and you can find us on all your major podcasting platforms, particularly Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can also follow us on Good Pods, and the episodes also come out on YouTube, usually at some point after. It depends whenever I get around to making the video files. Yeah. You know how it is.
Yep.
And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter. I'm trying to be more active on the Twitter.
Yeah.
And yeah, so once again, thanks for joining us, guys, and we will see you all next time.
See you later, alligator.
Yeah, I'll see you guys.
See ya. Bye.